Hello, everybody. David Wood from Focus.ceo. Let's dive in. I'm going to show you how to double your revenue over the next 12 months and get a fast bump. So we want to bump your revenue by 20% over the next 60 days and double your time off over the next 12 months. I want to make sure you have the worksheet. If you haven't printed it off already, I will give you everything I can in the minutes we have here. And then at the end of the webinar, I'll tell you where you can go next if you want more help. Okay, now let's find out your gap tax. I want you to put in your current monthly revenue, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. Next question is, a year from now, what do you want that number to be?
We have a one here from 7,500 to 20,000, 3,000 pounds per month to 5,000 pounds per month. And I'm just checking back to what they originally wrote.
You're tracking them, aren't you? I just
totally
worked
am.
out what you're doing. Sarah's going back and doing the math.
$4,000 to $10,000 to $20,000.
So now here's the idea. If you already knew and had implemented what we're about to talk about today, you'd already have that. So that's the gap tax that you're paying right now for not having implemented what we're about to talk about. Write down that number. All you got to do is subtract one from the other.
We've got 2,000 pounds as a gap tax, $12,500, $6,000, $70,000.
So that's what you're paying now, and that number is why we're here. You know, it's kind of like money's like become a dirty word, and yet most of us want more of it. So let's just be honest with ourselves. More money is better than less money. So where we start today is doubling your revenue, but that's not where we finish. I also want you to double your time off. And then here's my secret agenda that I tell everybody, so it's not so secret. I want you to love your life. I want you to show up as an extraordinary entrepreneur, partner, parent, and human. So that's my covert agenda. But we start here with this gap tax. So I'm going to show you how to bridge that gap so you stop paying that tax each month and start collecting it. Well, I'll pepper some case studies along the way because I know I won't implement something unless I have a high confidence that it's going to work. So Bradley Long is a great example. He's got a great product at shoptimize.net. And Bradley was suffering from shiny object syndrome. Super smart guy, super successful. He just had so many ideas and options, and he wasn't sure which to focus on. His wife was thrilled when he started working with me because she knew he could be achieving so much more than he was. So what we did is we had him cut his hours in half. We worked out what was most important. We mapped it out with the techniques I'm about to show you. And then he cut his hours in half and then started hitting record sales months. Month after month, he was breaking $100,000 in sales, which he'd never done before. He moved to Costa Rica. They had their 5th child, and he started teaching ninjutsu to the local kids in Costa Rica. So there's an example. Let's get into the double revenue model. That's what we want to do. The 3 areas of that, the 3 big rewards are more money, double revenue, more time off, so you have freedom to spend with the kids or to go hiking or to write that book you want to do. And then the third element here, as I said, I'm really passionate about growth. I want you to love who you are and how you show up in the world. Which one of these 3, more money, more time off, more growth, would have the biggest impact on your life? To do this, if we're going to double revenue, double time off, and be more extraordinary, there are 3 big buckets. The first bucket is double productivity. We've got to get you achieving more in less time. Be effective with your time. The second bucket is the double revenue. Look at your leads, your conversions, and leveraging existing customers. The third bucket is to build team so that you are not the bottleneck and you have a scalable business, perhaps even infinitely scalable. Let's talk about what happens if you don't get these right. If you don't get the productivity right, what you might find is you're feeling scattered, overwhelmed, and you're doing a lot of stuff that's not actually going to get you to more money, more time off, and being more extraordinary. If you don't get the second bucket right with doubling revenue, You've got a trickle of leads. The leads that you do get are not buying your product or your service. And you can have flat revenue or even declining, particularly in the current environment. If you don't get this right with building team, then you are the bottleneck. You are doing way more work than you need to do. And you're not doing it as well as some other people could probably do it at a lower cost. The threat that we're possibly facing is burnout. All right, let's go through it. I'm going to give you the 9 steps. There are 3 steps within each of these buckets. And have you score these for yourself? Because your plan is not going to be the same as everybody else's plan. And so I want you to be able to customize what I'm giving you in this webinar so that you walk away knowing exactly what's most important for you. So I'm going to have you score yourself and work out if you are a green, which means you are rocking it. A red says I'm in a lot of trouble in this area. And a yellow means it needs some work. So this first one, plotting the course. You're a green in this area if you know your 3 to 5 year vision, if you are clear on your 12-month goals and are clear on your 8-week goals, or you might use 12 weeks, that's fine. And every week you know exactly what to work on. If you're like goals, what goals? Or you have goals, but you don't look at them regularly, you don't have a thread, you don't keep on track, you don't hit them, then that might be a red for you. And somewhere in the middle, that's a yellow.
Yellow, yellow. Pretty good consensus on yellow here.
Okay, cool. Achieve more in less time. This is a green for you if you have regular blocks of time set aside in your calendar to do a sprint where all your distractions are turned off. No Facebook, no text messages, no one can call you, no one knocks at the door, no disturbances, and you know exactly what to work on, and your mind doesn't take you away from it either. You set a target and you nail it. That's a green. If you just wake up and you check email and you start responding to the agenda of everybody else, and then you might find yourself on Facebook and then you're watching a YouTube video and you're feeling pretty scattered generally, that'll be a red. So type your color in right now.
All right, David, we've got 2 yellows in already. Yellow, yellow, okay. Yellow, yeah, and red here too.
Okay, good. This next one, be unstoppable. This is a green for you if you are not consuming fear. If you're not watching a whole bunch of media pundits talking about what's going to happen in the economy and what's going to happen in politics and what's happening with the coronavirus, if you're not consuming all of that, and instead you are creating content for your audience, you are leading them with positivity. It's also green for you if when there's a problem, your Facebook ads get shut down, your Amazon gets shut down, which just happened to a bunch of people. If that throws you and you get upset and you feel afraid, that might be a red for you. So this next one, let's score yourself. Fulfill funnel. This is a green for you if you have more business than you can handle right now. I have one client right now who's not taking on any more clients. A red would be you feel like you have a trickle of leads, and a yellow would be somewhere in the middle. And this next one is, what do we do with the traffic that comes to your website? A green is you've got a high conversion rate on your website. People come to your site, you've got a really great lead magnet, high opt-in rate, and then you're nurturing that sequence really well with emails. You might have a conversion tool like a webinar. And when people get on the phone to discuss your service, high conversion rate. You're converting at like 60, 70, 80, 90%. And that's a green. If you're getting people visiting your site, but they're not opting in, they're not buying, they're getting on the phone with you, and a lot of them are not deciding to become a client, that's a red. And of course, something in the middle is a yellow.
Definitely there's an average red in this category. Mm-hmm. You got one green, but a lot of reds here.
All right, good to know. Put in a color for leveraging customers. It's green if you have high repeat business. If you have a lot of people sending you testimonials, they're sending you a lot of referrals, and you have an upsell in place. That's a green. If you don't have any of that, that's a red. And somewhere in the middle, would be a yellow. Now, the next one, clarify your genius. This is a green for you. If you are already clear, you've already got a list of what you love to do and what you're great at, and you have a list of all the stuff you want to hand off to someone else. That's really simple. That's a green. If you don't have that, if you're like, look, I'm absolutely the bottleneck and I haven't worked all that stuff out, mark that as a red for you. For higher talent, you're a green if you are really good at this. If you know where to go, you know what websites to use, you've got a process that tests people, it screens them, you only talk to the best candidates, and then you're getting people good talent at low cost. That's a green. If you're like, hey, I'm really not good at the hiring, I don't really know how to do it, that'd be a red. Yellow would be somewhere in the middle. And then the last one, motivate. A lot of my clients are like, look, how do I have my team motivated? This is a green for you if your team has clear weekly accountabilities and deadlines. And they hit those deadlines. If they don't hit the deadlines, they renegotiate them with you. The team is motivated and they love working for you. If you don't have any of that in place, give yourself a red. And if you're somewhere in the middle, like, I'm not even sure how they feel about working with me, and we don't really have a lot of accountability, but okay, then that's a yellow. So in your worksheet, up the top where it says the double revenue plan, I want you to write the 3 biggest takeaways for you.
All right, we've got here really wanting the lead generation and needing to build a team. Need to define my goals, need to work on the website, need to leverage clients. And we've got support. Yeah, that's right. So you can spend more time in your genius zone. Absolutely. Fill your funnel.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good to know. Like, what you know now is where the low-hanging fruit is for you, right? You've picked 3 projects, hopefully out of this, that you know you need to work on. If you're not sure, I'm going to give you 3 easy ones to get started with, and we're going to dive into them. This is a way to shortcut it. So we're going to dive into 2 of these today. Plotting your course. Let's do it right now. We've started with some of the numbers. Now, one of the big mistakes that people make is not having a clear target. You have no reason to be super productive if you have no clear goals. One of my clients, there's a slide coming up on Sam Page. His goal initially when he started working with me was to increase revenue by 25 to 50% over the year. After 2 weeks of working together, he could see how to 10x his business. He's like, I know how to do this now. Now that he's got a goal of 10xing his business, he had to become more productive. He had to set out his goals really clearly. He had to map it out, and each week he has to keep on track with them. And he has to throw out a lot of stuff that wasn't productive because he has the goals. So the point is, having really clear goals is super, super important because it can be super motivating. Here's one of the sheets, which is plot your course. You've already put into the chat your number for revenue. So write this in. This is your current monthly revenue in the top left box. Then I want you to write down your hours per week that you work. We'll just start with those 2 for this webinar, and you can fill in the others. You can give yourself a score later on for health, relationship, and happiness. And I've left a box blank that you can fill in. And then you've already put into the chat your 12-month goal for revenue. So go and fill that in. Here's an example of how it might look. If your revenue right now is 5,000, you might have a 12-month goal of it being 10,000, being double. A lot of people who come to me are like, I want to double. Your hours per week, if it's 40 right now that you're working, you might want to halve it so that you got way more time off. And then the next piece of this, right, is we're going to fill in the middle one. This is so important because how many of us have put goals up on our fridge or on the wall somewhere or in a drawer and we don't look at them again? One way you make it real is you work out a milestone. And I think 8 weeks is a good period of time. So that was mistake number 1, is not having clear goals. Here's mistake number 2, not having a connection with your goals. And it can look like this, really, really windy and overwhelming. Here's how to handle that. Super, super simple. Have a weekly CEO date with yourself. 20 minutes is fine by me. Once a week in your calendar, where what you do is look back over the last week and celebrate what you accomplished. Then you look at your 8-week goals and you choose, this is what I will do over the next week. It's that simple, but you need it in your calendar. If you don't know when to book it, 3 o'clock on a Friday, right? Some people prefer a Monday morning. So I'm going to invite you to go and book it right now. Don't come back and type done it when it's done. This could change your entire business and your life.
Nice. We've got some commitments in the chat here, David.
All right, good. So this next piece about doubling productivity, accountability makes such a huge difference. The problem is when you're your own boss, how do you generate accountability? So I'm going to give you a simple thing that my students do that's a game changer. We play the A game. When they have their CEO date with themselves, they set their goals for the week, and they can choose their goals to be B goals or A goals. If it's a B goal, hey, do your best, no consequence if you don't. But if it's an A goal, it must be completed within 7 days, no matter what. Or $5 gets paid to someone you dislike. It's that simple. Now, a lot of people have picked a political candidate they really don't like, and they have to pay $5 to that person's re-election campaign. Another person pays $5 to their ex-wife. So pick somebody that you would rather not pay $5 to. Yeah, I got one client pays $5 to a whaling association because that really hurts. And then pick a task that needs doing. Something that's been you've been putting off and off and off and off, and just make it an A goal. And then the third piece is go and if you're going to commit to that right now, you're going to I'm going to commit to doing my bookkeeping. I'm going to commit to calling someone I've been putting off calling to. I'm going to commit to drafting my bio for my website. I'm going to commit to updating my template for my website. Not mentioning any names, but there's some people on this call that could use that. Type it in the chat and put A in front of it. And that means I'm committing to do this within 7 days. And if I don't do it, I will pay $5 to an organization I dislike. What was your biggest takeaway from this section? Was it on doubling productivity? Was it the 12-8-week sheet? Was it having a CEO date with yourself once a week to choose your 7-day goals and celebrate what you've done? Or was it playing the A game with a consequence of just $5, which can get the attention of your brain?
Got takeaways with using the A game and setting the CEO date. For me, one of the biggest takeaways right at the beginning of Plot the Core was mentally throwing out the stuff that's not productive. I'm just like, it's not even on the list anymore.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of A games coming up from our attendees.
Yeah. All right. Converting sales. Here's what I want to give you a really, really solid piece here. It's so easy to be scattered because you've got 5 markets that you want to help. You've got 5 problems you want to solve for people, maybe 10 problems. You've got 5 promises you want to make to them. You've got 5 traffic sources. You've got 5 conversion tools. It's no wonder we look like the guy in this picture trying to field all these different tennis balls. We're so scattered. It's really hard to be effective. What we want to do is move from scattered to focus. So I'm going to give you a super simple, powerful model, and this is in your worksheet. Here are the 5 ones. You want to pick one market. For me, entrepreneurs earning over $200,000 a year, or they soon will be. Then pick one problem and promise set. What's a problem? One problem that you will help solve, and what's the promise you make? For me, the problem for my market is they're feeling scattered and overwhelmed, nowhere near as effective as they can be, and they know it. The promise, double revenue and your time off over 12 months. Now, you see, even for me, it's super hard for me to focus. The number one promise is revenue. And then I slip in a secondary benefit and then a tertiary benefit, which is growth. Traffic, one traffic source. So don't go and try and do Facebook ads and Instagram ads and free social media and SEO and alliances and article marketing. Pick one traffic source to put most of your attention into. The next one is a conversion tool. Have one lead magnet on your website, and I'll talk about lead magnet in a moment. And then last one is 1 year. Now, here's what I want you to do, because this can be a lot of work, right? Like you see this, you might be like, oh, wait, I'm scattered in a whole bunch of areas. That's fine, right? You don't have to do everything overnight. Circle one of these and type it in the chat. If you, over the next 60 days, were to pick one of these to really hone in on, is it problem and promise, market, one traffic source, conversion tool? And by the way, the last one, you focus on all this stuff for 1 year. This is by Clay Collins, by the way. He's the one who came up with the 5 ones.
We have a tie between problem and promise and traffic source.
Great. Now I'm going to point to the worksheet and give you a homework assignment should you choose to accept it. What we want, people make the mistake of diluting their messaging. So many problems, so many promises, so many markets. Now let's assume for the moment you've picked one market. Again, for me, business owners earning over $200,000 a year, or they will soon. We want messaging that's so clear that a caveman could grunt it. Type in your problem and promise into the chat. Something that's so clear a caveman could grunt. Now, here's a case study. Rainier Garawang, he's going to be the next Tony Robbins. This guy is a great speaker, really knows business and knows personal growth. And he wasn't clear in his messaging. He wasn't clear on who he was helping. He wasn't clear on the problem and promise. As soon as we clarified that, he increased his fee by 66%, and now he's got more work than he can handle. Amy Youngblood, her messaging was not clear. It wasn't crystal clear. There were so many things she wanted to do as an interior designer. When we clarified it and crystallized it into, for example, you deserve a home that reflects you, or you deserve a home that you love, or you deserve a home that you're proud to entertain in. Something that clear, she was able to double her revenue. Didn't happen overnight, took 12 months. But there's an example, and I want to point you to this worksheet. Type into the chat your problem and type the word problem, and then get it into one line that a caveman could understand. Like if it was health, problem is low energy. I feel terrible. And then type in your promise. If your health was low energy, that was the problem. The promise might be double your energy, feel great, leap out of bed, right? We want to get it that crystal clear. So we've got a problem, not enough leads. Great. We've got a trickle of leads, or super low revenue. Really clear. Feeling harassed and ineffective. We've got some promises. Feel happier, more productive. Great. Those are 2 promises, right? Pick one to hang your hat on. You will feel happier, or you will be more productive. You will achieve twice as much in less time. Generate a buzz. Have everybody talking about your brand. Something like that. Or tell your story in a way that has people sign up with you. All right. And Matt's is saying, I find this assignment hard to get my head around. I understand it, but I can't form the problem, my promise. Matt's, I'm so glad you're honest about that. It's not uncommon. It's really hard for us to do ourselves. And there's a slide on Lead Magnet that will help you choose an early, sexy step. All right. I'm going to give you the laser version of this. For a lead magnet, you want something that's high value and that teaches people an early, sexy step in their journey. So, for example, in my market, helping people double their revenue, an early, sexy step could be doubling productivity. So I have a video, 6 minutes on how to double productivity. Another step is working out your vision. So I might create a cheat sheet. You've just seen one, a worksheet on how to set targets, that motivate you. That's an example, right? So this worksheet is awesome because you can write down your customers' steps as they go from problem to promise, and then choose one step and create a PDF. I'm talking 2 pages. That's the simple version. Give them a cheat sheet. If it's a video, keep it to 3 to 5 minutes. And then come up with a headline, right? A really juicy headline. But I mentioned Sam before. I want you to know that Sam freed up 20 to 30 hours a week by clarifying his genius and doing something like the worksheet that I've given you. All right, so just know that that is absolutely possible. And Alex Mondosian is one of the best marketers in the world. When I coached him, I helped him work out how to free up time. And for him, it was hiring a PA. For him, he needed to just bite the bullet and hire a PA to free up so much time to dive into his business. And he said it gave him so much more time to spend with his kids. Here's a question. I said to you that I want for you a business that can scale. I want you to double your revenue over 12 months. I want you to double your time off over 12 months. And I want you to get a fast bump in 60 days. That's what I really want. Now, obviously, to do that, we need greens all the way around in the model. So in that 9-step model where you've got reds and yellows, we want to turn those all to greens. Now, I've already asked you what a good 12 months would look like for you. Basically, that's your revenue number, and that's your time target that you came up with. And we've also looked at what the 3 projects are. This is the next question. What 3 projects do you want to complete in the next 60 days? You've already highlighted or circled the 3 areas out of those whole 9 that are the low-hanging fruit for you. So now you know the 9 steps, you know the pitfalls, and you know the 3 that you want to get started on. Question that I have for you, here's a real big one. Are you going to do the old way? Are you going to do the way that can lead to low productivity, low leads and sales, and burnout and overwhelm? Or are you going to do the new way? The next question that arises is, how are you going to do that? There are 3 methods that I know of. 1, you could not do anything, forget about this, and a month from now, this webinar will be a distant memory. That's the most common approach that people take. Another approach would be trial and error, which I actually think is valid. You just try it out, make mistakes. The problem is it can be slow and it can be very expensive. Or you can use a system. You can use a system that works, a system that's designed to take you where you want to be. So we've talked about some case studies on this call. There's one case study we haven't talked about, which is you. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm starting a new group next week. I'd like to invite you to join if you're a fit. Now, it's not right for everybody. If you're just getting started, I'm sorry, this program isn't for you. If you haven't hit $5,000 a month yet, then it's not quite a fit for you. If you want a magic pill and you just want overnight success without doing any work, I got to be honest, it's not for you. It is for you if you do have a good product and service, if you're up and running, if you're coachable, and you're interested in learning inside a community. It's the Samurai Implementation Program starting this month, and each week you'll have a project. We will double your productivity, and we do that by plotting a course. I will show you how to achieve more in less time, and we'll create the mindset of becoming unstoppable. Then we go through doubling revenue. We'll fill your funnel, it will increase your conversions, and then we'll leverage your existing customers. Then the last bucket, building a team, we'll get into clarifying your genius, hiring talent, and then motivating that team. These are the 9 projects. Each week you'll take one on and you'll implement it. Learning should be fun. How many courses have you done or started and paid for but not completed? Yeah. So this isn't that. This is done in Experientify, where you get points every time you do a task. So as soon as you start, right here, you'll see a welcome video from me right up the top. You'll see your target, which is 20% bump in revenue, and then you'll see a stretch target. which you can edit. And then every time you check off the setup tasks, like joining the Facebook group and putting the calls in your calendar, you get a little sound and you get experience points every time you check something off. There are live calls twice a month so that you can ask your questions and talk about the training content. And I'll hot seat you, open up your mic and put you on the hot seat and coach you. Plus you get access to all the recordings if you can't make one or even any of the calls. There's community support. We have a private Facebook group where you can ask people for help. So you're not just getting help from me. It's not just David's viewpoint, but what do other people think? I need a headline for this. Matt, who's not sure about his problem and his promise, posted in the Facebook group, hey, this is what I think my problem is. This is what I think my promise is. I need some help. We can get so much more done in community than we can alone. And then here's my guarantee. If you don't love it, I'll buy it back from you at full price and I'll throw in $10 for a movie on me. The pricing is simple. It's $1,650 US, or there's a payment plan. If you want to spread out the payments over 3 payments, that's totally fine. You can do that. And here is the link, focus.ceo/start. As soon as you register, there'll be a welcome video from me. And then there are a list of setup tasks and you will get points in the first 10 minutes. I love points. All right, there are some bonuses. When you join this program, because you are early into this, you will get access to the live training calls. I don't mean the live Q&A calls. Those are always live. But because you are early, this is early bird program, you will actually get access to these live training calls that happen each week. Another bonus is for the next 4 days, if you decide to join this program, I will extend your program by 30 days. So it's a 60-day program. It's 8 weeks. I'll extend it to 90 days. So you'll get an extra month in the Facebook group. You'll get an extra month of the live Q&A calls to make sure that you've got some extra time to fully implement this program. There's another bonus if you register by the end of this webinar, because I like to incentivize action. I will do a personal critique of your website. I'll go through, I'll create a video, I will roast it kindly, but I'll let you know what looks really good to me and where the low-hanging fruit for conversion is on your website. I was going to mention Laura as a case study. She increased her conversion by 25%. Final bonus, for the first 5 people to register today, I'll do a one-on-one scale session with you. So we'll get on a call, I'll go through with you, and we'll go through the 9-step plan. We'll work out exactly what you need and create a plan for you. I'm going to throw this open to questions now.
Right. So we have a good question here is, how much time do I need to complete this?
If you can set aside 3 hours a week, you'll have plenty of time for the training. The training calls, by the way, this is another big plus. I'm not going to give you 3 hours of training each week, but the training calls each week are 4-minute videos. So you've got 16 minutes of training videos. So you just know exactly what to go to. And then there'll be Q&A on top of that.
Perfect. And the start date of our live calls with you?
It's December 4, I think is the date. That'll be the first live Q&A call. And then the first live training call will be a week after that. So it'll happen straight away. And if you're after that, then like if you join once there have already been some live calls, then you'll get started with the recording straight away and join in, slip in, sync up with the live calls. What else, Sarah?
How quickly will I notice a difference?
Oh, I like that. How quickly? I would think, I find like when I register for something, if I commit to something, like a medicine ceremony or a program or whatever, things change straight away. My energy changes. And what I see changes. Like when you commit to buying a house, you will start to see for sale signs everywhere. So you may find that in the first 24 hours, you're noticing changes because you're starting to think now about this model and you're starting to think about the low-hanging fruit and you're starting to implement the weekly CEO date, which make changes straight away. So you may find as quickly as 24 hours, you're noticing an energetic shift. I would say within 2 weeks, I'd want you to see changes in your business and your productivity. Okay, great. So if this calls to you, I'd love to see you in the program. It'd be really fun to work with you. You've got about 1 more minute to register if you want to get the one-on-one session with me and the other bonus that I mentioned that was time sensitive. Thank you, everybody. I had a really good time, and I'm looking forward to serving you in whatever way that shows up. Bye for now.